Set that away. Green on there. And we'll look like we're live. Hello everybody, it's Slaan here. We're going to carry on with the military base that I done last stream. I've done quite a bit of work on it during the week. I realised that I went for 3 hours the last time and I had only intended to maybe do an hour and a half, 2. So I've mostly finished the base off in terms of built in the majority of the decorations. All the sleepers and everything are loosely placed in there now. I've done probably about half of the sleeper volumes, so we're going to dive into the editor this stream, get that prefab finished off, finish all the sleeper volumes off, and then we're going to do a little bit in the world editor, get it placed into the map, probably just using the project map. I might even set it down near the other military base, and then we can maybe look at the positives and negatives of building either in the world editor with all the pieces separately, or doing what we've done over the past 2 streams in building a big unique single prefab itself. Oh, excuse me, inhaling me coffee. So enough nattering, let's get into the editor and get these sleeper volumes all sorted out. We'll have a little fly around. I'll give you a little look at the decorations and stuff that are on there. But compared to if you've watched the last stream or you've seen the state of the base, it is fucking ginormous, much bigger than what I'd intended, much bigger than the initial one that I built to test the idea out. But yeah, it's been a while since I've looked at sleeper volumes properly, so I'm going off mostly what I remember, and then we'll see how it works and we'll take it from there. So I think I left the stream the last time, we had just finished most of the fence. So now there's a full chain fence, surrounds the entire perimeter. It's not a direct square, but there's no breaks, there's no nothing. The only way to get in at the moment without smashing something down is over this way here. So this is kind of the main entrance to the base. Lots of sleepers, lots of dead bodies. See, they've kind of closed the checkpoint off. We've got the little car park area. I've dug out pills. I think he's got a newer version of these prefabs, but I had an old copy that I quickly converted and fixed up and just threw them in. The helicopter over there, which we'll have another look at in a bit. In fact, that we should, if I go into here, just search tank. So you can just see, I don't know how that's going to look. You can see from the thumbnails, he's got a few varieties. The helicopters are in there as well. I should have probably used one of those gunships. It just seemed a bit weird having an army-style helicopter trying to pack in supplies, and a gunship isn't really what you would use to ransack a base. But he does really clever things with the densities in his editor to build these shapes out of terrain blocks that work lovely with the actual blocks and panels. His boat, he sculpts the whole body of the boat. It looks amazing. But yeah, a heli for the helipad. I don't know, more tanks. Hangars are done. And I know the plane looks a bit shit, but it's, you know, it'll do for now. It'll look reasonable in the imposter. Actually, I don't think we've done the mesh file yet. So yeah, it's not really a dungeon style prefab where there's a particular sort of pattern or pathway to take through it. I just want it to be an area where people know that there's going to be a bunch of army themed loot and we can just pack it full of zombies. Make it a bit of a challenge, might be the word. But yeah, I mean, we'll have a proper look in more detail once it's actually in the map. For now, what we need to do is finish the sleeper volumes off, which put them on. So you can see, I've done about half of them. Now I haven't tweaked any of the groups. All I've decided is the initial areas that I want to trigger and where they trigger from. And I'll probably come back, tweak the actual volumes that spawn, like the types of zombies and the amount of zombies that we'll get, we'll look at. There's extra things you can do with the volumes that I never really played around with or practiced much, but it's part of the fun, learn by doing. And I think for the most part, it's going to be easier just to copy the volumes and dash them around. Copy this. So the main rule of thumb I'm kind of thinking at the minute is a lot of these buildings, I don't want the zombies inside to trigger when people are just running past. It wastes the amount of zombies that you can have physically on the game is going to be capped in the XML. And if you run down here and trigger a whole bunch of zombies in buildings that you've got no intention of exploring, then it might mean when you get to the area that has a little bit of loot that you should be getting zombies in, there might not be an allowance left. If you've got 2 or 3 people on a map, that's all going to eat into the maximum amount of zombies you can have. So I think with the buildings it's better to have a tidy little volume that doesn't trigger until they get inside, and then we can have overlapping volumes that will just get the ones that are sort of around there. And like I say, first of all, we'll just get the initial volumes all set in. So if to place the first volume is F6, I believe we'll do one from scratch in just a second. Now I don't want them birds to be a part of the spawn when you go inside, so we'll make this one tight. Oh fuck's sake, I'm moving the wrong side. To be honest, I think I could probably do a little bit of digging myself, because I would imagine some people have figured some things out with these. So yeah, that's fine, and all these buildings are the same size, so I'm just going to copy these ones quickly and then we'll make another one from scratch. Is that right? More. And the main reason I've done a lot of this beforehand is I thought it's it's a lot of boring shit to sit and watch. Whereas at least at the minute it'll not take me too long to get these initial volumes down. Now I'm gonna just increase that one slightly there with this one having an open side. It's just, I imagine most people, if they see that rather than trying the lock, are these doors locked? Yeah, so I'm assuming you're just going to naturally try and have a little poke in there. And by the time you get there, it would be nice to already have some zombies spawned. I don't like it when they just appear out of thin air, which is something that I'll have to be very careful of when there's not many obstacles to hide them in open pathways and the roads and the runway. That's why some of these volumes are quite big. We'll copy this one and then we'll make another one. Shrink that one back down. I'm just thinking, do we allow these to spawn if someone walks right up to the door? Might make a bit more sense, because I know them doors didn't have many HP the last time I tried to break one down. And once they're broken so far, you can see through them, so again, it'd probably be better to have those sleepers inside, have a chance to trigger. Right, and so a fresh sleeper volume, F6, press sleeper volume, there you go. And you just resize it as if it was a selection area, so G to move it around, Shift and G to expand or shrink it. But again, I think retreat the gun range is another big one. To be honest, some parts like this are more decorative than anything else. But again, with open fences, I'd rather these zombies in the middle here had a chance to spawn before you get to this point, just so that you have a chance to see them just naturally being there. In fact, we might just extend that all the way around. We'll keep it inside the fence. Because I don't know how hard this chain fence is to break down. I think that's probably going to be one of the things I'm going to have to test when we drop it into the actual proper map and just give it a good old ram with the 4x4. See if you can actually break your way through. Because that wouldn't be too bad of a thing. Now, let's just make a fresh one. Excuse me. Now then, actually before I put that on and then I press K, quest exclusive, no, is this what I need? Right, instead of mumbling to myself, one thing that I'm worried about is I want this volume to overlap this building, but I don't want those sleepers inside the building to spawn unless they actually trigger this volume. Because there's always a chance, I believe by default, unless you change it, that potentially it might select some of these sleeper blocks. If you only trigger 5 zombies, can you imagine all 5 of them are in there and you've got no intention of actually going in, you run past? It's a bit of a... And I'm just wondering, is there an easy way that I can tell? So if I make those priority, does that mean this volume now shouldn't show them up? I think that's the way. There we go. So they're grayed out. So I'm going to assume at this point, this means what I've just described, that this volume can't trigger those zombies. We'll have to make a mental note, just in case. But we do want to get all these vultures. And again, so we might have to set those as priorities as well. Right. So, okay. Yes. Yes. Yeah, god damn, that's a lot of sleepers. Right then. But I mean, we've got... I'm going to have to do pay a bit more attention with this middle one in particular, in these 2 hangars, because they do have a reasonable amount of loot. To be honest, I should get rid of these trucks and probably put tanks in there. The idea is someone kind of got in, broke a window, tied a rope, and then got killed by birds who came in through the broken window. Let's just copy that one. And we'll have a little bit of overlap. Oh, wrong button. Do I want to do that big? And to be honest, I don't think there's an issue really with this many sleeper volumes in an area. You could plan out more tight, more compact ones, but I'm thinking realistically, especially how long it's going to take people to break, because there's no easy way to get into some of these hangars here. You're going to have to break through a metal or two metal blocks or two of the metal plates. So I think most people, when they hit this kind of prefab, are probably going to scoot around the roads a little bit and check the area out, see what's easier to grab. So I'm thinking the bigger volumes and just having a tighter control on the zombies in the outdoor area is going to pay off a bit performance-wise. And then we can, with these ones, maybe make 4 or 5 small sleeper volumes inside, so that once you do get in, you've still got a decent amount of zombies in. Well, not so much this one, but definitely this one here. This one has like a little planned route where you would go through, but there's like gun cases and all sorts of shit lying all over the place. Yeah, we need to make that quite difficult, that area. Lots of zombies. But for the most part, we'll copy that there, that's good. We'll make a giant one here. And then it's probably just going to be a case of setting all the groups and turning the spawns up to 11. Interesting. Right, we'll have to just cut that off there. I think I'll just get rid of those sleeper blocks. There's no point in really. So runway prefabs. I haven't put any loot or anything really in that plane or anything yet. It's so I'm not really too fussed about having lots of sleepers around here. I just want to make sure that they can spawn across the whole like main area. So we'll keep this nice and easy. Like I say, this particular one will make some more tighter, smaller volumes. Maybe do a couple in here. We'll see. But that one needs to be taller to get those birds as well. And we'll do maybe one big one to get this bottom corner here. Then we've just got those top bits to do. So you got to think this will kind of tie into what I'll talk a little bit about later with the differences between making a big giant prefab out of the pieces and placing the pieces manually into the World Editor and doing a little bit more work on the terrain, because this is obviously going to take a lot of time if you're planning a quest or something like that, you're going to have to spend more time again, maybe configuring individual sleeper properties. Whereas the pieces themselves, like all these hangers and things like that, all have sleeper volumes, like the individual prefabs. So if you just place them into the world via the editor, when the map generates and it spawns them, they'll come with those sleeper volumes as well. So it's a lot easier to go into more detail in a big single prefab like this, I would definitely say. But depending on what you're doing, you could make good arguments for just placing things directly in the editor, making custom prefabs to be placed within the editor and things like that as well. Right, so we're going to have one for that helipad. I've had a bit of a chance to spawn there. Yeah, that'll do. So what exactly is there in here? There's not really a lot. It's more just like the resources that you harvest out of those 4 trucks. I'm just thinking maybe these ones don't need to be as brutal. I can maybe just cover the hangar with a single volume. Yeah, I think we definitely need another one to cover the outside. But then I think the one inside can probably... I'll do what I've done with the barrack buildings and just make this a priority one. Because we don't want the zombies breaking out and making somebody's job easier. Yeah, it loves that, doesn't it? Let's press K on you. Yes. If you're watching live, by the way, don't forget to say hello. If you have any questions, feel free to hide them into the chat. Because for the most... Oh, I've got nothing selected. But for the most part, I'm just going to rattle this off and try and remember to explain what I'm doing as I'm doing it. But I definitely think the other stream where I started this off was a lot better. Just actually having a more focused thing to do rather than just trying to come up with a random way to explain why you would do this or what this stupid little mini prefab's used for. Or copy volume. And this is going to be a skinny one. Yeah, that'll do. Let's copy this one again and we'll put that down the bottom. I mean, I don't know how many other people really stream this type of 7 Days to Die content. I see a lot of base builds and let's test Horde Night against this type of base, or like hardcore playthroughs and that sort of thing. But generally, not really. I mean, admittedly, it's not like I'm going out searching for the stuff, but I do see a lot of, I do get a lot of 7 days notifications on YouTube, and off the top of my head, I can't think of anybody who really does this type of stuff. It is nice to see that people have sort of tackled the tutorial and where I kind of slacked off for a year. Though I must say my tutorial for Alpha 17 is still totally relevant. Most of the buttons that you use back then are still there now. A bit more. Lazy volume. That's a very lazy sleeper volume. Well, fuck me, you do a lap of this place on a motorbike, you're going to trigger a decent amount of zombies. Yeah, right, okay. Let's copy this one. And again, I don't mind having a bit of overlap. It's always better that. So you're always juggling between, are they going to be triggered and then totally ignored and not seen, versus are they going to just magically appear in front of someone? But yeah, it's not too bad. And if you're playing solo, or if you are in a small group and playing together, then the zombie limit doesn't really become that much of an issue. I mean, we used to have it turned up to a fucking crazy amount on our dedicated server. I wonder if Tin still does those fixes that he had that let you turn the things right off. Right, I'm just going to copy this. Come on, because that is exactly what we need. Get that slid right over there. Well, I mean, all in all, it's not too bad for to take more, what, half an hour, 20 minutes, half an hour to do almost half of the sleeper volumes. Everything in there, yeah, do. So this is the one where I want to get a little bit more fancy, shall we say, because this is the one that, like I said, there's a lot of loot in here. Probably too much loot, to be honest. Especially if those large ammo piles don't respawn. The first person in here, if they can kill all the zombies off, is going to have the efforts rewarded, and then everybody else is just going to kill a whole bunch of zombies for nothing. So I want F6 sleeper volume. So this is going to be the initial trigger if someone comes up to the prefab and pokes their head in the door. So that's just going to spawn those 3. I think we should probably bring that down a bit. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So we'll just go 3 to 4. I'll make all of these soldiers. And we're just going to F6 another one. So, I mean, I might be wrong in thinking this, but I'm guessing this is the general way that the pimps and the other people who are making these fancy quest prefabs are doing it. Just planning out the route that people are going to take and how they can and how they're going to move through the prefab. And then just triggering all the zombies off it. Because again, because I'm doing these as priority volumes, I shouldn't trigger these extra sleepers behind. Which I never actually realised. I knew it was possible, I just never realised that's what it was. Assuming that is what it is. There's always a chance once we get this into the map and we test it that it just might not work like that at all. Right. Oh, right there. There's 10 sleepers in the volume. To be honest, 4 to 5 is enough at this point, but we do want soldiers. And 6 again, sleeper volume. So I'm going to come into this area now. Now this is quite a big area. And we don't want that. We do, however, want those. And those two. Yes, soldiers. There's 23 sleepers. We'll go 6 to 7 here because, like I say, this is a bigger sort of area. And there is a lot of loot. A lot of loot. Gun pile, gun bag, munitions box. What the hell is that? Quest loot random. Probably me trying something that I didn't. Oh my god, let's get that back in there as well. And I think we're just going to make the volume here that's going to be badass. F6. I'm going to let that overlap just in case some smart horse like bunny hops onto the top and starts jumping through this a different way than what I realised they would do. It's not hard. When we're watching, I think it's Lynn's Gaming. It's a French bird who live streams all sorts of stuff, and she done Project Slaan Hatton in Alpha 15, I think. Had a playthrough there with her and her pals. And I just remember watching them thinking, years have based up in an area that I just didn't think anybody would use, and they were building and living out with things that I thought people would have ignored, and they were traveling totally different ways around the city. And I just remember thinking, you know, like what you, what you kind of intend and how people use it are just two totally fucking different things. We've got 14 sleepers, we'll go for 7. Zombie badass only. That's going to be fun. So we'll have to remember to check this hangar out in particular as well. But for the most part, I'm quite happy with that. So we're going to quickly nip round the groups because there's certain areas where I want soldier zombies to spawn. But for the most part, I'm quite happy just to let the generic groups, like here, it's going to be civilian group. But, oh, there's only 7 sleepers in there. Generics. 19. generics. 35 sleepers. I want a good mix of civilian and soldiers around here. And then like the later groups and the ones over in the more, because you got to remember this fence is totally intact all the way around. And there was obviously some kind of battle here, but this one we want lots, because hopefully all of those birds will trigger. Can we do again? Yes. So these are all looking good. Soldiers. I mean, this could be a total bad idea. I don't know where the hospital zombies here. Though, I mean, I suppose, you know, soldiers learn to do it all, don't they? Even the medics are going to be wearing the camo. But I don't know how bad soldier zombies are these days, so... But as you can see, that's how long it takes to whiz around and change the properties. It takes nothing to load up this prefab and make individual changes, add extra volumes, that sort of thing. This is a very big one. One button. As it is. 41. This is kind of a little loot room, hidden loot up on the roof. Bit of ammo, gun bag, that sort of thing. Done that one. Now these are definitely just going to be soldiers. 11. 100 sleepers. Get this out of the way. I think it's just the runway ones mainly. Double check the hangar stuff. And then we'll get it over in the World Editor and we'll get it spawned in. I'll put extra birds on these bits, so we'll just make sure. I'm assuming we can still get the birds, so that's going to be something else to check. Make this generic, but we'll up that right up to 10. That's definitely going to be soldiers. There's a reasonable amount of loot around there as well, so... They're all done. this one. Is that we're done? Is that everything? I think so. Right, let's get this saved. Lovely jubbly. So, I mean, we can obviously still tweak it at this stage, like load it back up and make changes and stuff, but for the most part, we're just going to call this finished now. So we'll update the thumbnail. I think it gets a little bit higher than what it looks like, so people can see it in all its glory when they look at it in their menu. Military, and it's army base or 2. I think we need to zoom out a bit further there. Yeah, that's better. You think compared to the size of this thing. But I'll get me download links and all that sort of shit sorted out soon. I keep saying I want to have something sorted for 19, and we're pretty much there now. I still have the anomaly of the terrain blocks on the highway and some of my other prefabs fucking up, but for the most part, the demo map, it's a demo map, so I mean, it's never going to be perfect, but it's alright. I'm going to save you, exit here, and go to the World Editor, I believe. I think it is. Initializing. Yeah, it's not too long. Much faster than loading up an actual single player game. So yeah, the road's still up. But so where can we put it? Well, let's come back over to this one for a start, because obviously this is the original. And there's certain parts of this that I think just work better, in that because the road grid was drawn in, I've got, you know, like things like the diagonal road, the placement of the towers. I think considering that the runway is like what, 25 prefabs or something on its own, it looks like a nice designed tidy sort of area. Whereas once you start getting to things like here, like the barricades and stuff, yeah, they're okay and they work, but it starts to look a bit like the vanilla cities where you've just got a prefab placed next to a path, and that's kind of where the interaction between the prefab next to it stops. So being able to sort of taking an area like this and making it one giant prefab, you get that creative freedom to add a crater in here, to make a pile of boxes there, to make a barricade here, and but you take on a lot more effort, because one thing that we need to look at here is where the imposter blocks for the runway kick in. You see how the pattern, even though it changes into a block instead of the asphalt, the pattern of the runway itself carries on just nicely, and we ain't gonna have that with the single prefab, because all these mesh files were done manually. As in, I use the console commands to create them and build them by hand, as opposed to just clicking the update imposter block. But first, we need an area that's actually flat enough. In fact, do you know what it is? No, we don't. Let's just stick it down. It's bloody deep enough so that it could float in the air and not collapse totally. Now we're going military army base 02. Load into, and yeah, that's fucking ginormous that. Though when you compare it in scale, it's not actually that big. It doesn't use the terrain as well either as oh Christ, it's that big though that it looks like it's starting to load in. You see it's a mesh file before I've even placed it. I'm just gonna place that. And then we'll lag to fucking shit while it actually tries to put it into the world. Doesn't matter at this point though, just leave it, let it take over. And with big prefabs this can hang for quite a while, but it always catches up. Unless your game outright crashes to desktop, it'll always catch up, just give it some time. Once we've done that, I'm just going to press save, and what this is going to do is add the entry into the project test worlds prefabs XML file, just the army base 02 with the XYZ coordinates of where I put it. One thing to be a bit wary of is I've spawned this in and I'm missing a lot of combo pack prefabs. Now because I've saved this map and then they haven't spawned in, it will remove those entries from the prefabs XML. So for me to put those buildings back in, I'm either going to have to copy the entries off an older XML, which I've got, but if I didn't, I would have to manually place them all again. Even though I've designed holes for them to fit, I would still physically have to spawn them in and move them around, and just something to be not so relevant now, but something to be aware of if ever you're digging around and you have errors. I don't know if it'll actually show them. Hash files generating errors. Not allowed to access triangles. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into some of this stuff. Right, that's saved in. I'm just gonna exit. And just to make sure that it does actually spawn, I'm just gonna load that up again quickly. And then we'll generate an actual single player game and go and run around and terrorize the sleepers. We'll just creative mode some guns in and ram raid the fence as well. We've got to see if we can break through that chain fence in a 4x4. But again, for the people who are catching the views, feel free to say hello in chat. If you've got any questions while I'm on here live, and now is the time to ask them. But yeah, that's all spawned in there. What's the FPS like? Yeah, it's taking its toll, but still not too bad. It's going to go down when we're running around there and there's a million zombies there, but no, for the most part, I'm quite pleased with that. I don't think we actually updated the imposter block. Ah, no, that's interesting though. It's kept the asphalt and stuff. Interesting indeed. Yeah, it looks pretty cool from the map as well. Right, let's exit this. And I'm absolutely dying for the loot, so let's just... Because this probably will take 4 or 5 minutes to generate an actual single player game. Let's just call this... military base test on the project test map, which is what we've just been on. So I'm going to set that away and I'm going to quickly disappear AFK for 5 minutes and top my coffee up and quickly nip to the toilet. I will be back soon. And I'm back, chaps. And we're all loaded in. Where's my cursor gone? Yeah, that was a very well planned spawn point, wasn't it? Let's get the creative menu. And then let's get the fuck out of here. Right. I'm just gonna flip the headset on properly. And then the map, get you off. Interesting. So we've color coded all the blocks now. Right, and let's tell you what, let's start here. So just quickly, if I show the prefab bounds, can I do that? Oh, fuck's sake, I can't do that. Right, okay. So if you can imagine, this first part of the base is made up of all these individual prefabs that all have their own individual sleeper volumes. Whereas this one is what we were just working on earlier. We've had to put all the volumes in manually. So I'll have a run through, triggering some of these as we go, and we can get a look at the the amount of zombies we get for like from the single prefabs versus the ones that we've just created. Hello, Christian mate. Nice to see someone in chat. Slaan Hatton. It's hard to say what Slaan Hatton is to some people because some people talk about the big city from like Alpha 12 to 15. There's been many versions since then. But Slaan Hatton as it stands now, this is probably the most recent version, the most recent incarnation of the project itself. So this was a randomly generated world in Alpha 16. Oh fuck, I've got zombies. Let us give myself some kit first. But yeah, it was a randomly generated world from Alpha 16 back when the biomes still made a bit more sense. I don't get the biome view in this, but we've basically got the desert in the south, the forest in the middle, and the plains in the middle with a bit of burnt stuff, and then the snow up in the north of the map. And I don't know, I kind of liked it. I spent ages putting the highway system in. It runs right across the map. But because this is more of a demo map for the little prefab pack that I made, there's large empty areas where there's just nothing, and you could probably play it in survival. Yeah, well, I think probably over the weekend I'll get my download sorted out, so you'll be able to have a look at the two prefabs that I made recently on the streams, and then have a fanny on in the World Editor with the prefab pack itself. I did briefly have a flick onto the forums, and I know that somebody has actually expanded on the streets and the idea of the pack. I'm not 100% sure exactly what it is, but they did credit us to it in some shape or form, so I'm assuming they've used something that I made at least. So I'm definitely going to check that out. But I was quite disappointed about the lack of sort of prefabs and stuff on the forums, considering I've been out of touch for about a year. Hey, what the fuck's all these rifles? What's that? Sniper? Marksman? Oh, auto shotgun. Wait, I don't want a fucking great one. We're going to use an auto shotgun. We are going to have... Yeah, blue one will do. No, I remember the M60, but I never actually played with a tactical assault rifle. Oh, am I going to have to do attachments and shit like that with these guns? Are they going to come with anything on? God damn. Fuck it. I'm just going to give myself some ammo. I'm not too fussed about that sort of shit. Because I mean, really, we just want to have a look at how many zombies are spawning. It doesn't matter how hard it is, or if it looks like I'm going to die, then I'll just God mode and fly away. So again, we're just quickly going to look through. So these are all individual prefabs. So you can see we're getting sleepers. Yeah. And that's just from that one little section of trench. We'll go over things like this. There's more zombies there. Dogs. Lots of dogs. Yeah, there might be a bit of a design flaw with that prefab. This is day fucking one, game stage, like what? Game stage one. Game stage one. Yeah, right, okay. So we're getting more zombies than what I actually thought. I'm just going to teleport over here to lose those dogs. So again, that's the same kind of tower. So there's the turkeys. So the main thing that's missing from this sort of layout is we're not getting much on the roads. There's nothing really much in between the prefabs. But you can see all of the actual buildings, all the little barricades. Oh, there's a random. But again, well, I could have attached sleeper volumes to the individual sections of the runway, but I haven't in this particular case. Do these little towers spawn zombies? Nope. That's a vanilla prefab. That's one of my... Oh, fuck's sake, I teleported. Actually, let's have a little look in this one, because, again, this one had a bit more of a... God damn. And don't get us wrong, it's like, I never intended these to be areas that you would just go to on day one. You would want to go there on day one. But, that's a lot of zombies. We might have to tweak some of these. But at the same time, the way that there's gun sacks and stuff like that just lying around and ammo and things like that, you don't have the same sort of challenge of being forced through a difficult route that you do in some of the prefabs that the pimps have made. So, and the game does distinctly lack areas of just zombie herds. So, experiment number one. Now that we're on the base, yeah, and it looks a bit daft with no mesh files, but to be honest, I could just load that up in the editor quickly, do the mesh file, and then just reload the spawn. It would probably add it straight in there. Let's have one of them. Let's hope it comes with gas. I've got that wonky turn bit on. I'm just going to build up some speed and go for it. Oh, can you fuck? Yeah, so you're not driving into the... Oh, that's not too bad. I'm better off just actually ramming it. Yeah, okay, look, it just doesn't work. It will eventually, but so if we start thinking about the volumes, it doesn't look very gravelish, really, does it? It's like terrain-filled gravel. Or is this just that little sub-biome totally fucking with the gravel? That I nearly walked into the zombie. But see, that's what I like. Just they're there on the horizon. They don't just magically appear. Yeah, I'll fire this shotgun and we're gonna have company. things like that look a bit stupid like, but game stage 1 seems a lot more forgiving. Now this is where it might get a little bit funky. No, they're already there. I'm trying to work out, is that a dog outside or is that a dog in the distance? Now I wonder if you can pick them up. I never thought of that. Oh. Where are these fucking guys coming from on game stage 1? Yeah, come to the military base, it's full of loot. But I mean, let's be honest, this... Oh, fucking hell. Ha 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 ha. They actually look really good the way that they move around now. Yeah, so the traffic's not going to last long. What's with FPS like? Oh, I hate these things. I wonder what difficulty I've got this on. Just about to say, is that a radioactive zombie? But no. So I mean, the real question is once you've had a look around, does the amount of zombies kind of justify the loot that's here? Do these explode? Wow. Wow, what the fuck fucking is collapsing there? What the hell is that? Yeah, I've got the turkeys, but not much else. Just like say, oh, we didn't get the zombies there. But we did. But no, that's good. At least we know that setting that priority volume does seem to block off the zombies from being triggered to or locks them spawning to a particular volume, which is definitely useful. But no, I mean, there's always room for improvement, but there is definite room for improvement with this prefab. But you know, everything that we set out to do, we've done, in other than no zombies there. No zombies here at all. Ah! Ah, yeah, there is zombies. That was just lag, I think, on my behalf. What does the console say? Lots of spawn and sleeper volume. Hello there, Ian. I don't know how many people are watching. I can just see the playbacks, so I know people bounce in and out. The funny thing is I've noticed over the past few weeks that one of the World Editor tutorials in particular seem to be getting a lot of hits. That's kind of what got us back into it, because like I was saying, there doesn't seem to be a lot of people really building, or at least streaming the builds so much. But when I first started doing the prefabbing and stuff, shut up and Squealer, you fucking nerd. You got no right calling me a nerd. It's quite disappointing because it's like now that I've got the crowd, we're kind of almost really done with this military base. I'll tell you one thing I can do though, is we can go back into the editor and we'll have a look at the trench one, because the trench one was kind of what spurred us to make that one that I built there. That was my first little, if I was going to stream making this, could I use all the bits? Alright, we'll get out of this prefab. But yeah, I'll be sorting out the downloads. I keep getting harassed off Dropbox because you can imagine posting fucking well, Slaan wasn't a massive download, but over the years since 2016, it's kind of added up. But for the past couple of alphas, definitely from 17 onwards, this is kind of what Slaan became. It was a bit weird trying to carry on the same old city that literally was mostly built in Alpha 12, and the block conversions just, they were fucking mental. I can't remember if it was 13 or 14 where basically I think I literally spent the whole of the alpha just changing blocks and I didn't really add much to it at all. But this was my first idea, it just playing around with just the pieces that are just in here. So I was using, where's the trenches? So if you look in the preview pane, and I just rip all these little prefabs out of other people's things. A lot of it comes from the pimps prefabs themselves. And now that I've got this reasonably sized library of bits, at least with the military theme, it makes building the areas up way, way easier. And the thing that I like is somebody could make something with a very similar theme, but look totally different, still using the same pieces in just as much time. So this one doesn't have any sleepers. What does the imposter look like? I think most of this is probably just going to disappear. Yeah. I mean, don't get us wrong, it's better than nothing. It is better than nothing, but doesn't mean it's good. But I don't know, some of these prefabs are converted from old prefabs, so I mean, some of that, some of these blocks might genuinely be bricks that are just painted to look like fence and other bits. Anyway, we'll get that horrible shit off. I want to do a few sleeper volumes for this. It's not actually that big, so if we just F6 and drop that down. It's just then in between the two streams, I've got a little bit of closure, and for once, an almost start to finish project. We'll just get that to cover there. And I'm just going to do what I've done with the other one. We'll get all the volumes roughly scattered down. We'll not press that. Okay, copy. Get these in. I'm kind of thinking the trench, I should probably break up into maybe 2 volumes on each side. Like kinda, if I bring this one over, and I think with this one we'll not use the priority volumes, so even where the volumes overlap, we'll just let them trigger the same zombies if need be. So get this in into the edges. So I mean, unless you come flying over here on a mini bike or something at top speed, hopefully by the time you run over, a lot of the zombies that are going to trigger would have already triggered. However, we don't want them spawning that deeply in, because someone might follow the trench along, in which case we don't want to be triggering zombies in the middle. I mean, there's no harm in it, but it's more thinking from hosting it on a server, really, where you'll sharp find the zombie allowance eaten up very quickly. But I'd like to think areas like this, just make little things that, you know, you and a few of your mates might get together and fly over here on your Jeep and spend an hour wasting some ammo and scrounging some military fibre from all the tents. And again, I kind of rush through these very quickly. I don't pay as much attention to detail as some people. I mean, like, you look at one of Pills or Lasman or any of the fancy builders, I mean, you can see where the time gets spent. You can instantly tell when someone's really put like a lot of hours into something. I just have a lot of hours into a lot of little somethings that kind of speed the process up. But I don't know, when you're trying to build a full fucking map and you want to do 20 different things at the same time, you've kind of got to have some system in place that lets you speed the process up. That's a bit big, that really, like. Yeah, fuck it. We'll just leave it. Get a fresh one. The thing I'd like people to take away the most though is it's, say they're not amazing prefabs, but content-wise, you know, it would be fun for a little while. It might not be totally balanced. You could spend a bit more effort in putting quests and stuff like that in there. But I mean, even as is, especially on a multiplayer server, they're like focal points on the map that people will congregate around that you won't see typically in a normal game. I think that's what gets people's attention a lot of the time, just seeing something different. I think I will have to put a few individual volumes around some of these bigger parts, because I know the helipad definitely has more than its fair share of loot, shall we say. We'll have a little bit of overlap here, though I don't mind that. It's mostly empty anyway. Yeah, it's catching all of them nice. We'll take that back a little bit. And the thing is, I'd rather just keep the level of zombies and the difficulty and just up the loot if I had to. I think one of the things I like about 7 Days is it's probably the closest you're going to get to like a World War Z style sandbox. And I know performance has been up and down, isn't as kind to the hardware sometimes, but it's still the overall best zombie game that we've got at the minute, I think. Far from perfect, but it does tick enough of the boxes to really, I think it'll be around for a while. Especially if the fucking Slack cunts will bloody get the workshop support added. Though I'll be honest, I've found that I've been able to drag prefabs from Alpha 16 fairly quickly up to the Alpha 19 standard. So, I mean, the changes that they made to the blocks, I think, in 17, and the naming system that they have now instead of the IDs, uh, kind of sets the foundation to things not breaking between each alpha now. So, looking at how things went from 18 to 19, I think 19 to 20 should probably be an easy sort of job to get everything over. And from that point, I mean, hopefully they'll stop breaking other things and then just bite the bullet. And I think one of the things that prevents them from doing Steam Workshop is just if everybody's got a fucking, well, some mods just get outright binned. They just don't work. Or you wait ages for things like the custom hub layout code to be fixed. That just eventually just gets erased from the game. But no, I think old style Slaan Hatton was done very badly, but I think it was a good idea. And I'm like, especially with the way that we've got you you use tools or you use the game to generate a random map until you've got a map that you're happy to work with, and then you get into the world editor and start filling it up and messing with the height map and really sort of getting your hands dirty customizing it. I don't think oh shit, 2 seconds. God damn it, fucking kicking things all over the floor. Right, what was I doing? Ah, sleep while I was there. I can't even remember what I was bloody saying. Uh, yeah, I think I need to be a bit more clever with the volumes, yeah. Oh, just- oh, God, that was it, man. Old style Slan Hatton. Yeah, so I had, well, probably the biggest prefab. I don't know, I've seen a churnable prefab now that is pretty big. The guy actually chopped it into pieces Slan Hatton style as well. But no, I still think the Alpha 15 Slan Hatton is probably the biggest single prefab the game's ever seen. Probably likely to see. And there was a lot of good things about it, but the tools that we have now with taking ownership of a generated map, I think once you've got your base map set in, it's the whole city block thing kind of makes a bit more sense now. And I'm kind of thinking you go back to the way the cities were done in Alpha 12, where you'd have a city block with certain sections of road around it that was designed to sit in rows like a grid style city, and it would just randomly plonk 4 prefabs into a corner of each of these city blocks, and it's kind of basic and a bit. There wasn't much space in between it with not all the prefabs that got chucked into the cities look good. But my early city block prefabs were fucking really good, and I really missed that style of building. But I think now it's a style that might actually work now that we've got nicer looking sewers and stuff. And that was the other thing, that other guy mentioned that he had done sewers as well, which is very interesting indeed, because if somebody's made their, well, not only made their own system, but made something similar to how I've done it, it should make sort of stealing ideas and mingling the two lots of prefabs together a lot easier. But yeah, I'm kind of, I think the next major sort of project for the city, rather than spending ages on this sort of demo map, I'll always come back to this map, I think, and this will be what I use. Well, this will be mainly what I hand out to people to download so that you can just jump into a game and see all of the systems in use. But essentially, the heart of the pack is just the individual prefabs themselves, so that people can do this kind of thing themselves. I want to copy a small one because I'm lazy, but I'm too lazy to even find a small one, so we'll just copy this one. And there. Do you know what it is? So these zombies aren't wasted. Let's just bring these out. Get this saved. Get those groups, oh, excuse me, quickly checked. So yeah, looking good. It's not that many volumes. Actually, it's about what, 9, 10. So again, just selecting your sleeper volume, pressing K to bring up the properties. If this was a prefab, you'd bring the prefab properties up. And then we're literally just choosing the group that we want. It tells you how many sleepers you've got. How many do you want to spawn? Lots. That's that done. And we're just going to quickly do that to the rest of them. Because I see that nitrogen, when you use nitrogen, hello there, Blunderbuns. I've just seen your question there. How do you feel about how every house in these latest alphas has a treasure room and every house is a dungeon crawl? I'll be honest, I like every single one of the prefabs. I think they're all very well done, but I think I can kind of like get a feel for what you're getting at there, that a city shouldn't just be the same prefabs tiled over and over again with the same dungeon crawl. I think it wouldn't have been such a bad idea to maybe have had 2 or 3 versions of the same building, maybe with different degrees of damage, different contents, different wallpapers, but maybe not necessarily make all of them this dungeon crawl thing. Because I think, especially when you go multiplayer and you get things like the multiplayer waste buildings, they're quite good filler in that you can have something substantial to climb around and move around and possibly base up in that doesn't have too much loot, and it just makes good use of the space. And you'll find in the neighborhoods on my demo map, I copy and paste a lot of stuff, to be honest. But I built most of my neighborhoods just out of similar looking buildings. So like my residential areas will be all like particular types of wooden house or just the Victorian houses, but a lot of them are just those dungeon prefabs. And I think it's oh, 2 seconds, the fucking cat wants it now. Ah, the cat wants out. Scruff bag. I think when every one of those buildings is this dungeon crawl thing, it dilutes like their value. I think they work much better as something that you see just 1 or 2 of, or you discover it when you get sent on a quest there. My biggest issue with them being repeated over and over again is you very quickly learn which window to jump through and which door to break down, and the guy who's just starting, Yeah, it's, I don't know. But it's the same with anything. It's like, even with something like what I'm filling out now on your map, you're going to learn where the containers are. And I used to see it in the old Slaan happen as well. And when I was watching other people playing in it, they all had their own little loot runs. And I was like, God damn it, they found a fucking room with 6 fucking munition boxes in that I didn't even know was there myself because I just threw the building down because it looked cool. So it was, people will definitely, if it can be exploited, it'll be fucking exploited. That's why you just be generous with the loot, but be even more generous with the zombies. But speaking of zombies, I need to get all these quickly done. Soldiers. And we'll quickly throw this into the game as well. Okay, already done. I was very surprised to see how many feral zombies appeared as well. I should really play survival a bit more so I know how dangerous and bad some of the zombies are and how some of the systems actually work these days. Because there's quite a bit of survival that I just don't know now. It's been bad enough just coming back to the editor and forgetting half the bloody stuff. So, though I must admit, this is by far the best part of the game for me. It's just like a 2020 version of SimCity 2000. I get to build a cool city down to the square meter, and then I get to play a zombie game in it. What am I doing? Sleepers. Can you imagine building something like this by hand? Oh, okay, man. Right on. Will you catch all those? Is that one? I'm gonna put max zombies in that one. Yeah, I think good. So I mean, just in this military section alone, it's like 6 full pages. I think there's 11 prefabs on a page. So that's like 68 prefabs, including the 2 big massive bases. And I know for a fact there's still a whole bunch of like fencing and stuff like that I want to steal. I want to build a Fort Zanacudo. I think that's the ultimate military base. Proper concrete walls and all the fancy jizz. I think when I've got enough props and stuff like that, or I start focusing on a proper map again, that might be something that we'll consider. So we'll save this shite and then we will dive straight back into the World Editor. It's just nice being able to stay in the bloody game, doing all this stuff now as well. I mean, don't get us wrong, there's just certain aspects of Pills Editor that you kind of be without, especially when you're moving between versions of the game. Whoa, lag. Oh, serious lag, what the hell is that? 12 FPS. It doesn't like something around. You know what we've done? This is what happens when you can see every single prefab bound on the map. So I suppose in that situation, 13 FPS might be considered to be quite good. Where's me? Why didn't I even have the menu there? sleeper volumes, man. That's what I can see. Fucking be gone. Give us me FPS back. Ah, we need to do the imposter for that base as well. That's gonna look fucking terrible. Where will we throw this one? Ah, no. This is where I believe the power station was. That was from the combo pack. So, yeah. And we'll have like 3 blocks, I think. No, no. Yeah. Oh. Certainly doesn't look right. Wasn't floating in the fucking editor. And that one stayed sideways on the floor. Right, let's just save that in. Yeah, it's still a decent size. Yeah, you definitely get a bit of a hit with the bounds on, but it does not seem anywhere near as bad as with the sleeper. That said, it's hard to say if there's more sleeper volumes or prefabs on the map. I'd probably say sleeper volumes by a long shot. Right, that's saved. Let's get out of here. I'll have to make a new game just so that it loads that. Oh, I could just... Nah, I'll just make a new game rather than having to go and delete bloody region files and other shite. Sorry, base test 2. Now hopefully this will not take too long. But yeah, I think moving forward, I'm definitely going to start rethinking the idea of how I would approach building a city again. I think the city that we've got on the demo map is quite good, the layout's quite nice, but everything was just made to fit rather than coming up with a proper size and sort of system, other than the roads being fixed sort of widths and stuff. But oh, get coffee down. And where are we? I don't know where we are. So I mean, if I just get my cursor back up, turn to the side. Can we see that on the screen? Oh, there's a little bit of a delay between there. Yeah, you can see the cursor. Right, so that little tower there is actually floating, but because of the trees in the background, it's not really noticeable. So I mean, sometimes you can get away with a shitty mesh file, especially at ground level, but if you are flying over this on a gyrocopter, I can imagine it's going to look pretty shit, pretty weird. Let's just get a gun. Good old AK. Yeah, that'll do. Hello. turkeys everywhere. What? Oh, it's a screamer. So again, you know, there is some nice loot to be had, but they are far from the safest places in the world to explore. Interesting. Oh, what? They can turn into working stiffs. I never realised that they were hidden. Oh, come on. Hidden stash again. I thought these were just like a generic fucking loot crate that would just be random crap, not two hidden stashes in a row. Yeah. So it's just a few zombies. Not too much to worry about at all. But yeah, those just quite generous with these fucking boxes. Hidden stash again. Hidden stash. Ah, actually, hidden stash box. What are they called? Box. Yeah. Wasn't that one. Come on, Sealed shipping crate. I'm fucking sure that's. Why can't I place it? Oh, right. Wow, so these are just exclusively fucking hidden stash. I'm gonna have to fix that. We're kind of. I can live with a lot of mistakes, but no, that's just ridiculous. Well, that's the case. That's what I thought they were. I'm picturing running around Dishong Tower, going, "Oh, another crate! Oh, it's a fucking toilet! Oh, it's a cupboard." Because I know these ones are meant to be storage, and I don't think these actually spawn loot. So they were mainly decorative. But those bad boys, is that definitely the... Ah, okay. Construction random helper. That might not have been the right one, so where was it? Ah, it was these ones, yeah, wasn't it? Sealed shipping crate. There's no way I got, what, like 5 hidden stashes in a row? Hmm. Nah. No, there's a very simple fix to that one. Just grab one of them. We'll leave that one. Oh, no. So that's that storage box. Just want to make sure I get the actual block. What? Container shipping crate construction supplies. I've got to type that shit out into the, what's its fucking ID? 2742. I don't think this works with ID though. I bet you I've got to type that shit straight in. Wait there, 2742, and I want to replace that with 2742 in 2024. 2742, and it's fucking white. It's red still. Yeah, I suppose you could. I don't know, texture-wise, if we have a decent. See, this is when Pills Editor comes in, and I would just fucking zap them in 2 clicks. But now I've got to type in the world's fucking most extreme bloody block name ever. It doesn't even fit on the bloody data, on the little window it gives you. Right, tell you what. Where's my OneNote? Go away, Microsoft. Quick notes. New page. Fixes for prefab pack. Sealed. Shipping containers to be replaced. So what it means is I can just keep myself a little list of changes, and then once I get 4 or 5 blocks that need mass replaced or need purged, then I'll just use Pills Editor and I'll zap them all in one go rather than dick around. But no, so I mean, I know it dragged on a little bit in the last stream, nearly 3 hours, but I would say, including the time spent off stream, the other military base, O2, we were at. Discord changes. So using the prefab pack to basically build this prefab, we're probably looking at realistically about 6 hours, 6 hours work, and that's quite a bit of time. Not too much, but I mean still quite a bit of time just flying around and wandering. And so hopefully when you think of the size, if you're build, you wouldn't build something like this in 6 hours by hand. But we've seen a start to finish project build. We've done sleeper volumes this time. We've getting it into the World Editor. We've put it into a map and tested it in an actual survival game. You don't kind of get more comprehensive of a prefab sort of experience than that. And I think over the weekend we'll definitely get the download sorted out. I'll reinvigorate the Project Slaan Hat and thread on the forums, get some fresh links posted up, and then you'll be able to have a little fuck around with these 2 prefabs and the rest of the pack. I'll probably want to get in touch with a few people before I re-release it, because I do use like props that have been made from a few other people's things, and it's, well, I don't mind people just taking my stuff and using it for whatever the fuck they want. Hello, Tausi. Yes, the block replacement tool would work. The reason I skipped over it is it only seems to work off the block names, which I can show you very quickly here. You can tell it's going to work because it'll, so if I do terrain filler, it accepts that as a valid name. And then I could replace that with A and just totally kill this fucking prefab in one press. So it does work, but when you've got a block that's named like, what was it, container, short, corner, storage, God, it was like 20 characters or something. So we're looking at the focus block window just on the left of the screen. There's got to be a one round here somewhere. Yeah, there we go. Oh, there's a dozen. Container. Oh no, that's not the one. Ah, container ship and crate hero. Is that a different type of block? I don't know. Oh, there, that's it there. Container ship and crate construction supplies. I mean, come on. I find it hard to believe that I got 5 bloody hidden stashes in a row and they're a random sort of thing. Maybe it is, and I'm just super lucky. Won't buy a lottery ticket. But anyway, as we're getting close to the 2 hour mark, I'm going to call that an end for now. And then it means that these past 2 streams serve as a nice little sort of refresher for the prefab pack itself and how you can use it. But big thank you to everybody who's tuned in to watch, and those of you who've jumped into the chat. It's always good to have people to talk to. And like I say, we'll have something to download over the weekend. I'm off work next week as well, so I've got a bit of extra time to put into getting something sorted out. I just want to make sure before I put anything up that it does actually work. There's nothing worse than getting fucking spammed with bloody, oh, but there's errors popping up. So with that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time for some more prefab and fun.